Good evening. It's wonderful to talk again with you this evening. It's good to build up a routine or a rapport, if you will, to communicate. This is Erabon, and we have a special message for you this evening. Our message deals with karma and its influences on your past, present, and future. Yourselves, your being, your awareness. The kind of things you take for granted on a daily basis. Karma. What is karma? This is the question we'd like to speak with you about today. Karma is a wholly inadequate way of looking at an infinitely larger subject. There are no simple rules that govern your day-to-day life that must be adhered to. There is instead the exploration, the expansion of spiritual awareness, the growth of understanding, of meaning, of finding meaning in the message contained within all the things which surround you in each incarnation. So each incarnation is an exploration. You are exploring your surroundings. You're trying things new. For every day it is a different house, even though you live in the same building. Every day it is different friends, even though the same people come across your path. For you are ever changing, they are constantly changing, and the consensus environment which surrounds you, regardless of how solid and unyielding it may appear, is also always in a state of flux. Thus, every day is a new day. Every experience is a new experience. And those events which bear a similarity to contexts and events in the past do simply that. They hold a similarity. What is dissimilar is almost intractable, almost impossible to elucidate. By the very nature of your experience in the place you are in, every experience is different. And this by itself clearly means that there can be no such thing as black and white karma, where you do such and such to somebody and in the next lifetime it's going to happen to you. Reward and punishment, good and evil, black and white. Simple creations of your bicameral mind. That is simply an influence placed upon your perception of your experience by your nature. Nothing like that exists. What exists is the rhythm of your being, the push and pull, the ebb and flow of the fluctuating reality which surrounds you. Those things are real. And they're not following rules in some book or some law written down in some code. They're simply the nature of the energy that you're immersed in. Ebb and flow, push and pull. You swish around in the bucket and the water comes around and slaps you in a different direction. It's simply the energy which surrounds you, the energy you're immersed in, and this energy that defines your experience. Defines the fact that there is a cause and effect across lifetimes, between groups, across time and space, all over this. There's definitely cause and effect, but a cause and effect which is impossibly complex, infinitely complex, and therefore impossible to predict exactly what the outcome is going to be. Thus, it is an exploration. Thus, you do have things which on the surface appear as if something simple is happening. You give punishment in lifetime A, you receive punishment in lifetime B. You're a victim in lifetime C, and you have victims you act upon in lifetime D. On the surface, perhaps, seemingly simple cause and effect, reward and punishment. What goes around comes around, but instead, what is happening is you. What is permanent within you is experiencing energy from both sides of the vibration, the push and the pull. Simply an experience, a natural one, a necessary one you desired when you came here. So you desire to be subject to the laws of karma. It's not something to be escaped. It's something to be enjoyed. Your experience is like the growth of an oak tree from a tiny acorn. And to desire an instantaneous escape, if you will, from the laws of karma, the cycle of karma, the cycles of birth and death, and to always desire to escape to a higher school, and a higher school it's like this small sprout of a tree a few inches tall, a seedling, suddenly desiring to be finished. It doesn't want to be an oak tree, it wants to be something else, but it hasn't even gone through the experience of being the oak tree. And that's why it's here in the first place. That's why it's in this school. Going through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime in the first place is to get that fleshed out experience of existence in this particular instantiation of your type of concrete consensus environment. By default, it is a school in the sense that we learn by living. We learn through experience, so any experience is a school. It's not as if these places were set aside in the midst of a larger universe as small pockets where people actually learn something. No, people learn something everywhere, of course. We simply use the word school to continually remind you that that is the primary value of existence. Learning, in other words, the expansion of who you are, the expansion of consciousness. Is there ebb and flow of energies which define or influence your interactions from lifetime to lifetime? Definitely. Are there things you can learn from knowing that there's an influence at work? Definitely. Is the lesson to be learned to simply escape and move on the minute you know about it? Definitely not. We are here tonight to tell you that learning, that experience, that slow growth of the tree as it will grow, experience of the event of natural unfolding is what you desire, is what you are here for. Therefore, there are definitely shortcuts. Because experiencing what it is to take a shortcut is a different tree that's also growing over here. If you haven't experienced that before, at some point or other, you're going to want something like that. To know, to understand that experience. What's it like to jump from here to there? And also, you want a full-fledged experience of what's it like to grow linearly, unfold in a linear fashion according to the nature of something. To be experiencing different degrees of influence, different degrees of assistance from more elevated beings that can help you more quickly this way or that. Much like your role-playing games where you have the option of slugging it out and starting out from square one with your character and working it through just the normal plan of the game as it was intended to be played. Or, of course, there's lots of different ways you can speed things up. Get some higher level buddies to help you out, and all of a sudden, you're zoom. You went to level 50 in 2 days or something. Each of those is an experience. That's valuable. That has valuable lessons. So, understanding things according to a law of karma isn't bad. Nothing is bad. Everything is the expansion of consciousness. We're simply here to tell you tonight that you are not bound by that. You are not bound by that understanding. You are not bound by any other understanding. You are not bound at all. The whole point is you are unbound. You are free to explore. And there are different types of exploration you desire when you come into a place. Each individual that incarnates has a set of things they desire to experience in that incarnation. A plan, if you will. Things change, vicissitudes happen. There is no deterministic path that they necessarily will follow. Simply a plan, simply a heuristic, a rule of thumb, a rough draft blueprint, if you will. Kind of, this is the basic thrust. This is kind of what I come in to this game intending to experience for that entire event of having the intention, incarnating in a lifetime, experiencing what happens as a result, learning from that, having new intentions, experiencing another lifetime, learning from what happens as a result. That in itself is a natural growth. That's another tree unfolding from its seed. That whole process. You can zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, and this whole grand plan is one of natural expansion, which includes experiencing seemingly unnatural expansion. Things that are shortcuts, that are cheats. Well, it wasn't real because I had these people helping me out, that kind of a thing. All the cheats and shortcuts are included in the grand realm of experience. All of them are valuable. Being on every side of the equation is valuable. Being every single type of player in the game, from every single vantage point, with every single possible type of interruption and influence and change and unexpected occurrence, and anything that could ever possibly happen as a result of all the interactions which unfold in a realm of existence are all desirable. Thus, not one lifetime is wasted. Not one moment is a lost moment. Everything is an experience. And certainly, if you experience enough lifetimes sitting on your hands, doing nothing, staring at the wall, eventually you you thoroughly explore the energy of that type of experience. This naturally will roll you into different types of experience in subsequent lifetimes. Is this a law of karma? This is simply a law of growth. You gain strength and wisdom and understanding and growth and solid experience in this area. Things become familiar and routine, and your natural desire for exploration automatically carries you somewhere else. It's simply like the law of attraction, where you have emotions, things you really want. You focus on them. By the power of your own mind being the builder, in the act of creation, those things come into your existence. You achieve a new state of being. You become familiar with those things. You include them. Those become a part of your experience, and you are new. You are at a new vantage point. You now have been lifted to a new height where you have a new curiosity and you see new things that you want. Meaning, new experiences that are now right at the cusp, right at the edge of what you're experiencing now. Therefore, they're within reach, suddenly. New experiences suddenly within reach that you greatly desire, and boom, you're there. Boom, you're there. You move on and on and on and on. It's growth and growth and growth. The endless song of God's continually unfolding creation. This is what we would like to tell you today, this evening, tonight, if you will. There is karma, inasmuch as it is a structured belief and perception of the cause and effect which surrounds you. There is no karma, inasmuch as you understand that existence is simply experience and learning through experience and enjoyment of continually unfolding experience, which naturally, due to the harmonic nature of the universe, ends up in these cycles and ends up in you experiencing both sides of or many sides of this multifaceted equation. It's not just something bicameral, giving and receiving. There can be hundreds, myriad facets to an event, myriad perspectives and types of experience depending upon where exactly in the game you are situated when the grand event unfolds. And so individuals will want to go through this again and again and again from all different vantage points. No longer a law of simple karma, black and white, giving and receiving, reward and punishment. It's experiencing something multidimensional from all dimensional possibilities. So you can look at it however you like. You could say certainly there's karma, and it's multidimensional karma. It's got an infinite number of facets that cover the entire range of possible experiences at any given event. So does something as simple as master-slave, slave-master occur? Definitely. But also co-relationships within the slaves, between masters and slaves, or friends of masters and family and slaves and friends and family of slaves. And you can begin to see how even something as simple as this has endless permutations of experience that roll into the whole event, that are continually going on simultaneously as anything like this unfolds. Every event that transpires in your world and all other worlds is a wonderful experience. Frighteningly wonderful, horribly wonderful, definitely. Getting your legs blown off is not what most people would consider a walk in the park. Not nearly as comfortable as sipping your tea on a Saturday morning. But in the final analysis, from an experiential viewpoint, which is what you desire, it is one definite part of the equation that is there to be experienced. And virtually all of you will experience something like that in some sort of similar context at some point, or probably most likely already have hundreds of times throughout your hundreds of thousands of experiences simultaneously unfolding throughout the multiverse in all dimensions of space and time. You could literally be dying every 5 minutes by explosions and then horrible deaths. Something like that. Experience is valuable, unbelievably valuable. Experiences can be uncomfortable due to the influence of the illusion of separateness. Therefore, things can be very horrifying to undergo until you suddenly slip out of that illusion of separateness, or are forced out by death or out-of-body experience accompanying traumatic events or what have you. But these are all good. These are all valuable. These all contribute to the growth of your soul, to the expansion of consciousness. Thus, are there scars from traumatic existence in the past? Are there wounds that must be healed? From a certain point of view, definitely. But that process of experiencing the scar, the lasting effect, of experiencing the gradual healing, the maturity resulting from having gone through the experience and eventually overcome it, is an incredibly valuable experience. And one which can really happen no other way. So indeed, the universe of universes is not safe. It may not be friendly. It may not be nice. It may be horrible at times. But all throughout, it's wondrous. It's a wondrous experience through and through, every single waking moment. And in the final analysis, every experience you undergo becomes one you greatly value. One that was exactly what you want. So certainly you may fail to accomplish some aspiration that you held before you came into this lifetime. But that failure is an experience too, and it's one that you wanted. You'll never be the same again now that you've undergone that failure. And it turns out to be not a failure at all, but the gaining of a valuable experience that you knew you had to get at some point. And the only way you could get it is by setting goals and attempting to accomplish them. Or more like setting goals and jumping on the sled and hanging on as it flies down the hill, and your amount of control is relatively minimal over what is really going to end up happening in that lifetime. Probably a closer analogy. So certainly, every time you jump on the sled of a new incarnation, you realize that you have no real clue as to what's really going to happen, what's really going to unfold. But that's a thrilling prospect. It's thrilling that you know it will be educational. No matter what happens, it will be extremely valuable. The more you're connected with your greater self of selves, it'll be extremely enjoyable. The more so, the stronger your connection with the greater you, the larger you, existing in all the realms beyond, and simultaneously experiencing these myriad existences. Indeed enjoyable, and there will come a day in the growth of your soul when undergoing horrifying and traumatic experiences will be an enjoyable process because you've mastered the connection. Your sense, your knowledge, belief, confidence, and understanding that you are far greater than this tiny instantiation and this tiny event will be so unshakable that even though you're 100% aware, 100% plugged into the horrifying occurrence, it will be enjoyable, thrilling beyond belief. And your performance in those instants of crisis will improve tremendously in ways you couldn't even possibly imagine. Mastering the fine art of having a connection with your higher self to the point that you can act in the heat of the moment with masterful effectiveness. This is an incredible thing and a fine art which each of you ultimately seek to achieve and experience. And rest assured, it will be a part of your experience someday. More and more so, in fact. There's a continuum. As time rolls on, as you become more fleshed out, more well-rounded of a multifaceted being, experiencing these infinitely different realities, you will become better and better at handling these exigencies of the moment. And hand in hand with that, your entire experience will become more enjoyable, will then become joyful. And that, my friend, is when you really start to live. Fear is in preschool. Fear is a part of your experience in this early beginning. Critical beginning. Vital to have this illusion of separateness from yourself. But it will unfold, it will iron itself out. You will get to the point where it is no longer a part of your experience. It'll gradually, time after time of you going through these things, it's going to gradually start fading away. And the more it fades away, the more you really begin to live, saturated with awareness and a sense of the experience as it's unfolding, and infinite, keen enjoyment of the event as it unfolds, full knowledge of the value of the experience and the wonder of what you can accomplish with this connection to your higher self. When the inhibitions are gone, the connection is pure. And you are calm, aware, with great presence of mind, and active, and joyous in the heat of the moment of crisis. There are things to be achieved and experienced once you reach that plateau that you can't even possibly imagine right now. Those things will be within your reach once you get there. So yes, lines can be drawn. Things can be helpfully understood in terms of psychic circles or levels of spiritual attainment or in reaching enlightenment. Adjuster fusion, as the Urantia book likes to say. Things can be characterized in such a way. In the end, it is simply a continuum of unfolding experience, a natural growing, a natural unfolding. That's valuable in exactly the way it occurs, because exactly the way it occurs is honest and real and 100% natural, because it can be no other way, because it's you. It's you unfolding in your experience. No matter how you take it, no matter how you approach it, it's you growing and experiencing. And in the final analysis, it can only be 100% honest, 100% real, and 100% valuable. In every waking second that goes by. Would this teaching lead some of you to apathy? Maybe. Maybe you'll spend the next 5 lifetimes laying in bed doing absolutely nothing, and that's an experience too. You will do, the more you get this connection with who you really are, you will do what you want to do. What you really want. You won't pay attention to anybody else, you'll just do it, and that's terrific. The more you do that, the faster you'll grow, in the sense that you will gain a fleshed out, full-fledged experience more rapidly, if you will. Is that the goal? Well, definitely not. Experiencing slower, more convoluted growth is an experience. Experiencing more rapid, healthier, more direct growth is also an experience. And both of those and an infinite number of many more types of experience you will have, you will undergo. At some point or another, much of it you already have undergone. It is good, it is wonderful to have darkness, misunderstanding, misconceptions, error, to be misguided, to have rigid, inflexible misconceptions of reality and live according to them. It's incredibly valuable to begin to lose those It's incredibly valuable to have reached the point where you have no beliefs that you cling to, you simply perceive. And your ability to perceive and your awareness of what surrounds you unfolds exponentially. That's a valuable experience too. Therefore, in the final analysis, nothing is to be criticized. No approach is to be criticized. For all of them are a great experience. Something you can really have no other way. So truly it can be said that in life, no matter where you are, in what dimension, in what school, in what place, type of incarnation, type of existence, everyone in the experience is getting exactly what they want. Because exactly what they want is what happens. That's why they're there. They're there to fly down the hill on the sled because it's real. It's a real experience, and every second of it is incredibly valuable. As wild and crazy and unpredictable and out of control as it may be. And of course, as you go on, as you grow in your experience, it becomes less of an unpredictable, wild, and crazy ride down the hill, and more of a controlled descent. Until you're an expert skier, flying down the slope exactly where you want to go and thrilled with every moment of the experience. So indeed, it's all good, but not in a meaningless way, not in a frivolous way. In a deeply meaningful way, it is all good, incredibly valuable. No matter where you sit on the bus, no matter which team you're playing on in the tug of war, it's all incredibly valuable and greatly needed, greatly to be desired, tremendously wonderful experience. We are all helping each other out, helping each other up while we play this game. Whether we're master or slave, victim or victimizer, whether we are friend or foe, regardless, we are all invaluable in helping one another to experience. And experience is growth. Growth, the expansion of consciousness, the expansion of who you are. Growth from being finite to being infinite, to being isolated and alone and cut off from God, if you will, to being connected with God, to approaching the type of omniscient awareness of God, to merging with God, if you will, while having gone through these myriad experiences of being separate, being an individual entity. That will not be lost, for that is an experience too. One that will suit you very well in the future. There's a reason, if you will, that you are being prepared this way. There's a reason you've been created to desire to expand your consciousness and grow and unfold through these experiences and improve. and develop who you are and increase the quality of who you are. And run the whole gamut of going from individual to merging with all that is, with the divine, and everything in between. Being able to go back and forth. Coalesce into individual form and interact with the beings in a certain plane. Merge back to the infinite and do things you can't even possibly imagine due to your limited point of view in this perspective. And have an infinite variety of in-between experiences, which we couldn't even possibly begin to list for you at this point. And the nature of the universe itself is continually unfolding because all of you are going through these experiences. And with each individual that undergoes experience in the earth, for example, each of those events expands what the earth is. Expands what the seemingly passive universe is. And in this and 100,000 ways more besides, the universe is expanding itself. So the nature of what is possible to be experienced is itself continually unfolding, further up and further in, or more like further out in the sea of infinitely expanding possibilities. And every way you turn, there is something incredibly valuable to be learned, and nothing but growth to be achieved through the whole process. It's a wonderful thing that you're doing. It's a wonderful thing that you're experiencing now, that we all are. And the wonder is just going to continue to increase even more as time goes on. How's that for some food for thought? So, with that, we'll leave you this evening, and we thank you very much for your desire to listen and simply be a part of this co-experience we're all undergoing at this time. So with that, we'll leave you. Our blessing of energy is upon you. Thank you all again, and good night.